Hey, good morning, students. So, if you remember, so we were here in the previous class, okay, managing inventory and the management of the multiple locations. If we had multiple locations, inventory is kept in different locations basically. So, what to do, what not to do, we had seen, and we had seen the example of IKEA home furnishings, what they do. So, that's a unique business model basically, where they'll show you what is the product, how it feels. You can use it and see. You can sit on it. Okay, basically these are furniture. So it will be tables, chairs, wardrobes, and so many things. Okay, related to furnitures. So you are getting these things. Then they'll give you in a packaged form. Okay, it is not like a assembled form. It will be in parts. Okay, and all the fasteners and other things which are required to assemble it will be given to you, but the basic things like the screwdriver, hammer, and other stuff you need to have. They'll be providing the different parts of whatever furniture you are buying, plus the what do you call the fasteners and all will be given to you. Okay, so this is a unique business model where it is helping them to keep like a showroom kind of thing, where only one of each product is kept just for weaving and feeling, for touching and other stuff, for the customers to know how it looks, feels, okay, and to touch and if they sit on it or like chairs and all. So that is the experience which is given to the people who wants to buy, and at the end there is a particular number, serial number or something, which has to be told to the people who are there, the store people. So they will get you your particular box where the parts are there. You need to take home and you need to assemble it on your house basically, with the different fasteners what they have given. It will be very easy. Okay, all the notches and other stuff and the instructions would be given to you how to install and other stuff. Okay, so it is you who will be assembling it. It is kind of a fun basically, where people of US and other countries, wherever it is available or wherever it is present, basically move to this particular store to buy products. Okay, it is a kind of a popular thing. So you can see the warehouse, how big it is. Okay, so instead of telling you the warehouse, it is both the store and the warehouse. Okay, where store, a part of the store is just for what you call weaving the products, whatever they have. Okay, how it looks, where you can fit it, how big it is, and all. The next, coming to the warehouse part, where if you go and tell that particular number, they'll get you that particular box. Okay, see how it is, how like in racks it is put one above the other. Okay, so they are basically saving a lot of space as well here by doing this. This was the one thing which was there. Then now coming to the pricing and revenue management. So I would tell you like this is one of the what you call the subject where more of focus could be put on this, because it is kind of interesting. Okay, so most of the things what happens around us is here, but we may not notice it in that particular way, because we are on the other side. We are the buyers, okay, or the customers. So in various scenarios, we will see the scenarios. There are four scenarios here put in front of you. So based on these scenarios, very rarely we are on the side which we are selling. So those who are having business and all, they'll be understanding this. Okay, like basically a retail business or a wholesale business. Other than that, most of us are on the other side, that is the buying side, as customers or consumers. Okay, so here most of things will happen, but we even see it but we ignore it. Okay, or it is like we don't understand what happens over there, we don't want to know about it, we just want our product. So this is what we are basically looking at, okay, from the customer's point of view. So now in supply chain management we are on the other side of the customers, that is the suppliers, we can say. So how this particular things work, and what are the scenarios. Okay, so what is revenue management? Revenue management adjusts the prices and available supply of assets to maximize profits. So what we are doing, we are adjusting the prices and the supply, okay, or the availability of the assets to maximize the profits. How? We look into the revenue management has a significant impact on supply chain profitability when one or more of the following four conditions are existing. That means, so each and every business a person does for profits. So if we can increase profits in different ways, it is better for the person who is doing the business, right? So it should not be a burden to the customer also. Plus, it should not be a burden to the person who is selling that also. So he should manage. So because you already know there are many things which are there in a business like off season. There is a season for each and everything that is there. Okay. So what happens here is, so in the season the person makes a lot of profits because it's his season and he is selling a lot of things. Okay, in a short period of time. But when he is in off season, okay, at that time also he should make some profits, right? He should continue his business. If only at the time of season, if he is basically selling most of the things and he could manage his business, so in the off season also he should be making more profit so that he could run the business in the off season time. Okay, so which are the four conditions? So the value of the product varies in different market segments. Okay, there is something called as market segment. We'll come to it later. Okay, in the coming slides. So this is in varying market segments. There are different segments in the market, and the value of the product changes. Okay, the same product changes. Then comes the product is highly perishable or product wastage occurs. Perishable in the sense it goes bad in certain period of time. Okay, best examples are the fruits, vegetables, milk. Okay, highly perishable in the sense in a very short span of time when compared to other products, these are basically perishing. Like milk, if you don't boil it for a day, so on the next day you have to throw it. Okay, it becomes bad. So similarly for vegetables, fruits and all, it could be in some days or weeks. Okay, depending upon what kind of particular vegetable or a fruit it is. Okay, so it is in weeks only. So like some product where it is like a book or a water bottle or something which can uh, like will not go bad, but you yourself will throw it because of the usage and the time what they say, like for the usage and all. For water bottle and all, it is maximum for 1 to 2 years based on the quality of the water bottle. Basically, if it is plastic bottle. Okay, so even there are grades for it. We can see at the bottom. Okay, written some one, two, and numbers will be written. Some alphabets will be written. So you can go to internet and find out what does that particular letter and what does that particular number mean. It will tell you the grade of plastic basically. Okay, if you're having bottles at home and if it is a registered one, not a local one, okay, if it is a registered one, so you can see at the bottom there is some numbers written. So even on the cookware and other stuff, if it is of plastic like microwavable plastic and all, if you see, so at the bottom you can see some numbers and number particular figures. Okay, alphabets and numbers, which will state that what quality of material is used. Okay, basically. So these things will help us understand how far the particular product can be used and it has to be thrown off later. So this is perishability. Then demand has seasonal and other peaks. So it could be seasonal. Okay, I told you in businesses there could be season or it could be peaks. Okay, so in the sense multiple times in a particular year we are getting peaks or seasons for a shorter period of time. So that is called as peaks. Okay, so like for example in India I can take, there are many traditions. Okay, there are many traditions, many religions which are being followed in India. So whenever a particular event of a particular religion is there, okay, like take a particular thing like Holi. Okay, just as an example, Holi if you take, there are some things which we use in Holi. Okay, like we buy some clothes. Like in South India, it is not that prominent, but if you see in North India, they buy white clothes to play Holi. So here we are like we use some old clothes or something so that it has to be thrown out after playing the Holi. So in South India it's not that prominent, but in North if you go, it is like we need to wear white kurtas basically. They are wearing white kurtas, okay, and females wear white chudidars or saris and all. So it is like a pure thing for them. So they will be wearing white things where they are coloring it. Okay, so this is what is the difference. So there, if you see, you can, they are buying clothes in Holi, they are buying clothes in different occasions or different festivals, okay, based on different religions. So each and every religion has a festival at different time, or sometimes it coincides, okay, but still we are having small peaks. But at times it is like some big festival is there, okay, like Diwali or so it is a whole new kind of thing, okay, where we are buying a lot of things for, it could be home appliances, it could be personal use things, okay, or it could be clothes and other stuff. But in some festivals, okay, small level, not to the level of Diwali or something, will not spend much. Okay, so these are other peaks and season. Just I gave an example, like if a person who is into printing line, or a person who is there into a particular line or particular segment where he is selling cards, okay, cards in the sense it could be visiting cards, it could be marriage cards. So if it is marriage and all, it should be marriage season, then only his products will be sold, okay. Or if he is a printer, so if he is only printing marriage cards, okay, for example, I'm telling you. So if his season would be marriage season. So else there would be some marriages here and there, but there is something called as marriage season, where all of us know there are so many marriages that are happening. But in the present condition, it is not so, because of Corona and all, and the lockdowns and all, and the government restrictions of number of people. So these all are having impact on the businesses as well. I need not tell you, so you already know what kind of things are happening. Okay, so this is the seasonal and other peak. Then the product is sold both in bulk and on spot market. Okay, so we call them as retail and wholesale in general. So retail is you are buying in small quantities from retailers. So wholesale, if you go to buy in wholesale, you need to buy a certain numbers or in a certain quantity basically. So if he'll not sell, the wholesaler will not sell below that particular quantity. He'll say like punch is there, for example, bags of 20 kgs are available. But in normal retail store, you can buy a quantity of 1 kg or half a kg of the product. Okay, but if you go to a wholesaler, he could be having bags of 20 kgs and he'll not open the bag. He'll say if you want to buy from me, you need to buy minimum of 20 kgs and multiples of 20 kgs. So he'll be having more boxes or more bags of 20 kgs with him. So he'll say you have to buy minimum of 20 kg or multiples of 20. So if you say I want 30, no, you cannot buy 30. You have to buy 40 kgs only. That is two bags of 20 kgs each. So he will not open it for you. So that is what is a wholesale market. Basically, we are buying in bulk. Then spot market, it could be like compared directly with the uh, our retail market. Okay. Yeah. Coming to the next thing. Okay. So examples. If we see, airline seats are a good example of a product whose value varies by market segment. Okay, so what do they mean here is airline seats. So those who have traveled or those who have information about airlines, it is like if you book a particular seat like well in advance, like 3 months or 4 months back, the prices are significantly lower. Okay, then if you want to buy, if you want to book a ticket tomorrow or day after tomorrow or in a week or so it could be multiple folds. Okay, so this is what we are calling it as the value varies from market segment. In the sense, why market segment? Here there are people who are mostly booking tickets on a very short notice, like businessmen and all. If they want to travel, like for example, there is a sudden meeting tomorrow. The person is based in Bangalore. He has to go to Delhi. So what he'll do? He'll book a flight. It could be on that day. It could be on the next day, or it could be on that particular week or next week. So it is a very short duration where the person is booking airline tickets. So it would be very expensive, and it is okay for him because he is getting business. But a person who is going on vacation, okay, he has to plan it for a before a very long time. Okay, because there are many people, if like example, if they are going on a family trip, there are many people. Okay, first, and the airlines, as you know, as I told you, that if you book at a very early stage, you are getting a lot of cheaper prices. Okay, but as and when the date of journey comes very near, the prices go on increasing. Okay, so this is a segment where a person is in need and he is ready to pay a higher price. Okay, to book a particular flight at a smaller interval of time. Then there is a segment where they are looking at the prices, because there are many people, and if the prices go high by even 2000 or 3000 per airline ticket, and if there are five people, it's like around 10 to 12,000 rupees. Okay, so where he has to pay extra. Instead, he will plan for that particular vacation some 3 to 4 months back only, if he is basically taking an airline. Okay, or if he is trying to fly to that particular destination. So that's how this particular airline seats have the variation in the value. Then fashion and seasonal apparel. So we are talking about the perishable products. So you can see fashion. So the trends are changing. Okay, that's what you see. So in Flipkart, Myntra, and all, if you are seeing advertisement, the latest trends are available. Okay, so that is what the movie stars come and say. Okay, you can buy the latest trendy. Every week it changes, or every day it changes. So what does that mean? That means that the value of the product goes down after a certain period of time. Not down, it may become zero also. Okay, in some perishable products, like I told you about the fruits, vegetables, okay, and milk and other stuff. So each and everything has a expiry date. Okay, after which it cannot be used. Like again, expiry date, when I say about the medicines also. So there are some medicines which are like uh, on demand they'll produce, because the shelf life, okay, that is the expiry date is very small, because of the reaction that happens in the chemicals that they mix. Okay, and there are some particular medicines which could be kept for years together. You might have seen all these things. Okay, because most of us, not most, everyone basically uses one or the other medicine. Okay, so or one or the other medicine basically in one or the other time, if not on a daily basis. There are people who use medicines on a daily basis also, like people who are suffering from diabetes or BP or something. They need to basically take pills on a daily basis. That means they'll be knowing each and everything about the pill, like what is the expiry date, how long they need to buy and keep, how much quantity they can buy, what are the prices. So all these things they'll be knowing basically. Then about fashion, apparel, examples of highly perishable products. Production, storage, and transportation capacity are examples of inventory or capacity that is wasted if not utilized. So we just spoke about the products. Okay, here in terms of production, storage, and transportation also. Like for example, production, your capacity is 100 products per day, and you are producing only 20. That means if that particular day is over, you are in loss of production capacity of 80 products. Okay, you are producing only 20, but the capacity is 80. Sorry, capacity is 100. Okay, so we are losing it. Again, this could be told as perishable. So it is time bound. So I am having only time where I can produce. But if the time is over, I cannot go back and say, okay, I can do something about it. I cannot. So even with the storage, if I want to store it today, yes, I can store, okay, a particular product in a particular place. But if not, if I say I'll do it tomorrow, I have wasted today's time of that particular value of that particular place, because each and every day I am paying money. Okay, to if it is rented, or we have seen those particular examples, renting, leasing, and all. Okay, so whether I am utilizing it today or I am doing it tomorrow, but I need to pay the amount for that particular place, which I have taken it on a lease basis or a spot price basis, okay, for a certain period of time. So I am basically wasting it. Again, it is called as perishable things. So it is gone after that particular day. You cannot store anything on the previous day, right? In that particular place, it is gone. So that is what we are telling. The inventory and other capacity are also taken into consideration under the perishable foods. Then orders at Amazon follow a seasonal pattern with a peak in December. So as we are speaking worldwide, so they are taking in December because of Christmas. Okay, prior to Christmas, as they are telling, prior to Christmas, serving this peak would require Amazon to deploy a significant amount of temporary processing capacity at high cost. So we'll discuss much in detail in the other slides when we go to that particular thing, like peak and the seasonal things. Okay, when we go there, we'll talk. So this is just an example stating that Amazon would be requiring more manpower and more of what you call ability to transport because of Christmas and people are buying a lot of things. Okay, then every product and every unit of capacity can be sold both in bulk and in spot market. So the last one, we spoke about retail and wholesale. That is what they are putting in bulk and spot market. Bulk, the price reduces. In spot, the prices will go high because you are basically opening a product you are buying in a smaller quantity. So the price will go high. If you are buying in bulk, significantly the price goes down. And that is what is the margin or the profit margin that a particular seller gets. It is the difference between the buying price of that product and the selling price of the product. So that is his profit. Okay, then coming to the next one, segmentation. I told you I'll tell you about segmentation. If you see this particular circle as a market, okay, and there are different people in the market. So we are segregating them into different groups. This is called as segmentation. We are segmenting the market. Okay, so we can see there are different colors here combined in one circle and it's being like bifurcated by color in this case. Okay, so here it is purple, here it is yellow, here it is blue. Okay, and at the last it is orange. But in the beginning circle or in the topmost circle, all the colors are combined in one circle and they are being further segmented or parted apart. Okay, where homogeneously it is done and not heterogeneously. Here, heterogeneously it is present. That means different things are present at one place. That is heterogeneous. Here we are making them homogeneous. That means similar kind of people in this case are there in one different segment. Okay, so here out of one segment we are making, out of one whole thing we are making four segments. Okay, so on what basis this segmentation is done, we can see here. So market segmentation could be done in terms of geography, demography, psychography, and behavioral. Okay, behavioral segmentation. We call it I will call them as geographic segmentation, demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, and behavioral segmentation. So what comes under geographic? So geography, you already know, it is based on land. Okay, so here it is based on country, city, density. Density in the sense the number of people staying in a particular place. So based on density, language, how many people speak a particular language, and then climate, what kind of climate it is, hot or cold or very rainy. Okay, so these kind of things are already there. You already know. Okay, then very less rains happen, but not deserts. Okay, deserts. So it is a mixed kind of thing like Belgaum, where it rains evenly. Okay, and we are having the other seasons. Okay, also on a similar basis. So it is mixed. But only thing is we don't have snowfall or anything of that kind. Okay, or we don't have deserts also in Belgaum. So this is one kind of segmentation where it is based on the land, like the country, city. It could be like if you take only one country, you can make it into states. From states, you can make it into cities. From cities, you can make it into different areas like Dalis, what we call. Okay, so this is a geographic segmentation. Then demographic. Demography, in the sense, it is the segmentation is done on the basis of age, gender, income, education, social status, family, life stages, okay, and occupation. In the sense, so there are products, okay, based on age. I'm telling you, there are products for small kids. There are some particular products only for teenagers. There are particular products for old age people. Okay, so this is based on age. Your product, you'll be basically if your product is based on all these categories which you have told now. We are basically targeting, like segmenting the market based on age. Like gender, if you see, like clothes, okay, male clothes and female clothes are separate, okay, and the apparels, what female wear and what male wears are different. Okay, so based on gender, again, we can bifurcate based on the product, again, based on income. Okay, so why this is, like there are some premium products, okay, like Apple iPhones, okay, then there are some the same features are available on a cheaper prices, okay, so it could not be the same as Apple, but similar things are available. Like if you go to the other end, okay, so this is premium segment, and on the other end where we are having one more segment where we are looking at this particular mobile phones again, okay, where similar applications are available to them, but at a very cheaper price. So we can, if we see like Oppo, Vivo, all these things are coming there. Then OnePlus is a segment again which is above, where it is bit costlier than the other, like one of the segments which I told, cheaper segment, but it is cheaper than the iPhone segment, basically. Okay, that is again income, education. So if you see, like if you want to pursue your PE, you should have a certain education level. So then only we are catering. Okay, you should have finished plus two, or you should have finished a particular diploma in a particular stream. Then only you are eligible to go for engineering in the present scenario. But after introduction of NEP, we don't know what will happen. We need to check the rules and regulations once they have formed properly. Okay, then there could be a lot of changes which could happen. So this is demographics. Then psychographics, in the way a particular person thinks, in a way a particular person dresses. Okay, basically like lifestyle. Okay, then what kind of activity he does. Then interests, what kind of opinions he has, what kind of concerns he has. Like for example, in the present scenario, people are not ready to go here and there. They are not ready to touch many things, not ready to eat. Okay, from roadside stalls, many of them. We are becoming more of health conscious. Okay, more of what you call uh, the uh, cleanliness. Okay, more of, we are looking into cleanliness. Earlier, like some of the people have changed now. Earlier we used to eat like on roadside chats and all. Now we have reduced it. Why? Because of corona, many people come there, touch over there. Okay, so this is some of the concerns what we have. Okay, so there are still many people who go in deep. So I'm not blaming anyone, but people are changing, the priorities are changing. That's what I'm telling. This is psychography, what is being changed because of the environmental changes. Then behavioral, the way they behave, benefits, what kind of benefits I'll get if I buy here. Okay, like what we do on, if, are we buying on a brick and mortar store, going to a market, or sitting at home, or wherever we are, at office or at work. Okay, so we are sitting there and we are basically ordering through online platforms. So are we doing that? Why we are doing? We are sorting, we are looking at some benefits, like I'm getting the product where I'm sitting. Okay, I'm getting more discounts, I'm getting different varieties. Okay, so these are some of the things, like benefits we are looking. These are the behavior of the people based on certain things, like benefits, purchase, usage. The same product could be used in a many different ways by many different kind of people. Okay, then intent. So why are we buying it? Whether it is for my own use, whether I'm gifting it. Okay, just as an example, what is my intent of buying this particular product? Then occasion, why I am buying it. So most of the things we buy, as I told you, in some festivals, and also the occasion is festival. So like that. Then buyer stage. So I don't know whether you have come across this particular stages or not. Even for buying, there is a different stage. Okay, there are different models again. Okay, so one of the model is AIDA model, we call AIDA. So first thing is awareness, where a person has an awareness about the product. If you don't know that a particular product exists, so you will not think of buying it, right? So first is awareness, then interest. I need to create interest in the mind of the customer to at least look at it, see it, what it is. Okay, so I need to create interest. Then desire. I need to imbibe a sense of desire in that particular person to buy my product. Okay, then A, that is act, AIDA, AIDA model. Okay, first is awareness, then interest, then desire, then act. Act is, or action we call. Action in the sense we are making him actually buy. So first three are in his mind. Okay, so he is getting the information first, then we are making him interest. Okay, we are getting interest in him to check out my product. Then I am imbibing desire inside him to buy my product, and the last is the physical action that he does is he goes and buys my product. So this is the uh, stage, in which particular stage the buyer is. Again, in these four, so it could be in any of these stages, and there are many models as such. Okay, this is one of the model. Then user status. So whether he is on a very high status, like whether he is having a lot of money, he is on a moderate scale, whether he is having no money. So all these things matter again. Then cycle stage. So in what stage he is, like adolescent stage, then it is teenage, then it is mid age, then old age. So in which age he is. So even that matters. Then the engagement. So how frequently is using. There are many products we buy and we never look at them. Okay, like best examples you might have seen online is like the guitar and all. Initially you are very interested, you go for classes and all. Okay, but over a period of time, the instrument that you buy, you keep it at a corner and you never look at it. It's like a showpiece now. Okay, so this is the engagement. So you are buying it. So whether you are using it frequently, less frequently, or you are not using it only. So there are many products like in your house or in your place where you are staying, basically, where you have bought it for a certain reason. I don't know whether you are fulfilling the reason or not, but the product is there at your home, but you are not using it. Okay, that is what is the engagement. So this is the market segmentation. So why I explained it, you need to know a particular segment. When I say a segment, it is basically a dividation of a particular market based on certain things. Like here we saw geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. So based on this, based on the product, based on all these things, we are basically dividing the market. Okay, like I said, so here the first circle, all the market, basically everything in the market. Okay, all the types are here. So based on my product, I am bifurcating them like this. Here four different segmentation has been done. So similarly it could be anything. So here on the basis of, in the basis of color they have done. Okay, because there are distinct different colors are there. So if each and every color has a different attitude, okay, or a different composition, for example, so similar composition I can make. Okay, I can make a particular segment where similar composition and different colors I can make. Okay, like for example, composition of the first circle, that is the purple, and the last segment, that is the orange, are similar. So I can make combining both the purple and orange, I can make one segment. Okay, it is based on the usage, basically what is your product and whom are you basically trying to satisfy with your particular product, basically. That is, now we are looking into the market segmentation, because to understand what is segment. Okay, then looking here, pricing and revenue management for multiple customer segments. So here multiple customer segments, if you are not understanding what is segment, then you may not understand what I am telling you. So I just explained you about different segments. Then we are, instead of one segment, I am having multiple segments with me. Now I am catering multiple segments. So usually if you start your business, we will say take only one segment first. You come up with products which are satisfying that particular segment only. Then you can basically increase or add different segments, okay, which are very near to that particular segment. You can add them, then you can start catering to them as well. Okay, so here you can see classic example of market with multiple customer segment is the airline industry. Just I explained, like where business travelers are willing to pay a higher fare to travel a specific schedule. Okay, because their schedules are variable and fixed at the same time. Okay, so they'll not be having time initially, or at a particular moment of time they may not be having time. So they or their schedule will not be fixed. Okay, suddenly a call comes from a customer saying that okay, can we have a meeting tomorrow or day after tomorrow, and you are based on some other place. You say okay, not an issue, so I'll fly to your place, or are you coming here? We'll just discuss with him. Then if the case is like you are going there, so you need to book a particular flight on a short notice. Okay, then willing to pay a higher fare to travel a specific schedule, whereas leisure travelers are willing to shift their schedule to take advantage of lower fares. So, as I told, in case of a particular vacation or something, okay, like I can adjust it because it is like way ahead, like 2 months or 3 months ahead, where I am planning it now itself. So I can vary the dates based on the availability of the seats and the, like if you're having specific preferences, like I want to travel by this airline only. So whether the seats are available, okay. And again, if you see in that airline only, there are different segments, okay. Like economy is there, like business class is there, and all other different classes are there. So if you want to look at that particular class only, so if it is available, well and good. Otherwise, you will say I'll go one day earlier or I'll go one day later. So this is, there is a particular chances of changing your schedule, but in the earlier case, like in business meetings and all, you can't do it because the meeting is already being set and you are expected to be there on that particular day or on that particular at that particular time basically. Okay, the concept of differential prices increases the total profits for a firm. So just imagine for a airline company, it is like the same seat, the same pilot is driving, the same kind of what we call the engagement with the crew or the cabin crew, what we call, will be there. Even if you pay double the amount or three times the amount, it is the same. Okay, unless you are changing a particular class. Okay, for the same class, for same kind of class, like an economy class, if you book a ticket like 2 months prior, the prices will be around 2000 rupees. And if you are booking for the same airline and the next seat, again, if someone else is booking it, so it could be somewhere around 5000 or 8000 or even 10,000, because based on the time left for the travel. Okay, everything is the same. So if you see 2000 and 10,000, there is a difference of 8000 rupees, which is additional that the airline company is getting because of the duration. Okay, the duration when you are basically booking your seat, whether the duration is long or whether the duration is small. Then there are two fundamental issues, however, that must be handled in practice. What are those two issues? First, how can the firm differentiate between the two segments and structure its pricing to make one segment pay more than the other? Even the people who are paying knows that everything is same, but still they are paying. Okay, so how are you differentiating the two? One, based on the requirement. Okay, so the requirement or the scheduling. Okay, we never know when I need to fly. So at this condition, I'll pay premium to go. Okay, because the seats might be available or may not be available, and I'm booking at a very short notice in a airline. Similarly, the schedule, as I told you. So if somebody says like I'm booking now, before 2 months, and after a week or so, the airline says, okay, there's some issue with the scheduling and other stuff, so we have to cancel your flight. So they'll give you some other options. So you will be able to take those options because it is way ahead. The journey is way ahead, so you can plan accordingly. Still, you are having around 1.5 month to travel, so you can make those necessary changes. Okay. Then second, how can the firm control demand such that the lower paying segment does not utilize the entire availability of the asset? It may so happen that we already know, okay, that airline seats are cheaply available for booking at a earlier stage. So how to make that balance? Okay, you need to have some seats for the people who are willing to travel. So if all these seats are taken by the earlier booking people only, then there is no much of profits. Okay, that additional profits that the airline people will get. So what they do, they'll fix a particular number of seats. Okay, where they can give it to only the person who is flying at on an immediate basis. Okay, so where they can make more profits. So this we'll see again in the next slide. Basically, there is a trade-off. Okay, where we need to decide how much to keep it for the premium customer and how much to keep it for a person who is booking at a earlier stage. Okay, so we cannot give all to the person who is booking at an earlier stage, or you cannot give all to the person or to the people who are basically booking at the spot price, okay, or at a very short interval. So again, there is a trade-off. Which one I should do, or more seats for whom I need to keep? Okay, there is a particular chance of no one turning up at the nth moment. Okay, people know that the prices are very high at the nth moment, and if the person who is in very much in need of traveling only will travel. Okay, so if he is having even a little more time also, he will try to book the farthest flight possible. Okay, so this is what happens. So in cases where nobody turns up, so it is like you are even not getting 2000 rupees. Earlier you were getting 2000 rupees at least for a particular seat. So for looking out for 8000 extra, you are losing those particular 2000 also. So there is a trade off basically. So over a period of years, when you basically are there in the industry, you will get to know like how many of these things happen, and you basically reserve seats, okay, for the premium customers. Then coming to the next one, to differentiate between these various segments, the firm must create barriers by identifying product or service attributes that the segments value differently. So what am I valuing now? Okay, in terms of airline example only, the person who is booking at the nth moment, he is valuing time. He is not having time. So time is money for him. Okay. If he is not reaching that particular meeting at time, he will lose business. Okay. So time is money for him. For me, what I'm looking is I'm looking at the price. I'm looking at cheaper things. Okay. Okay, but I am not ready to compromise on the quality of it, but I am okay with the things at a lower cost. I'm ready to book at a very early stage. Okay, but I don't want to pay more. Here the person says I can pay more, but I need it on a what do you call, a shorter period of time, in a shorter period of time. Okay. So in the presence of multiple segments that can be separated, the firm must solve the following two problems. What are the two problems? The price to charge each segment. So what I need to charge, like I told, 2000, 8000 or 10,000 was just an example. So I need to charge them properly. I need to have this particular thing on an earlier basis. Okay, like if certain days of till this many days I need to charge so much. After these many days I need to charge so much till a certain period of days. Like if the booking opens 3 months earlier, so the earlier first month, okay, I will be charging around 2000. The next month I will be charging 6000, and the last 1 month is I'll be charging 8,000, and last week, okay, last week whatever is left I'll be charging 10,000. So if this is fixed, okay, then there will be no issue. So that is what we are saying here. What price to charge? How to fix it? That is what is one of the issue. Then the second one is how to allocate limited capacity among the segments. Okay, like how many to sell, how many maximum to sell at the third week, I mean the first month. Okay, that is the latest, that is 3 months ago, the first month. Then how much to sell in the second month, and how much to sell in the third month, and how much to sell in that last one week's period. Okay, so how to allocate that? So this is also one of the dilemmas. Okay, what the people in the airline industry have. So these are the two issues. Just as an example, I'm giving you airline. This could be taken in any case possible. Okay. Then allocating capacity to a segment under uncertainty. So basically, we are anticipating only to fill all the seats at a particular segment. Okay, but it is uncertain. As I told you, there are chances that nobody turns up. So that is what is uncertainty. So what to do at times of uncertainty? So we are looking at allocating capacity to a segment under uncertainty. Here what happens? In most instances of differential pricing, demand from the segment paying the lower prices arises earlier in time than demand from the segment paying the higher price. So here one thing we need to notice is that the people who are ready to pay less, or who are paying less basically, are booking on a earlier basis, okay, than the people who are ready to pay more. Okay, then The supplier may charge a lower price to a buyer willing to commit far in advance. Okay, now you are certain that a person is coming, he is making a booking, okay, way ahead. That means you can plan your things accordingly. So you are having that extra facility. But the thing is, you need to have a lot of discount to be given to that particular person. Okay, and at a higher price to buyers wanting to place the orders at the last minute. Here at the last minute when a person comes, he is ready to pay. Okay, so I need to decide now whether I need to take more of people who are ready to have an booking early and they are paying less, or should I book tickets, or I can book some seats for the people who come at the last minute and are ready to pay more. Okay, the basic trade-off to be considered by the supplier with production capacity is between committing to an order from a lower price buyer or waiting for a high price buyer to arrive later on. That's what I told you. So I need to wait, okay, for the buyer who is ready to pay me more, or if I give it as and when the particular person wants it at a earlier stage. Okay, so here two things are there. So two terminologies are there. The two risks in such a situation are spoilage and spillage. Okay, spoil means you cannot use it later. Spill means we are basically throwing it out. Okay, so if you remember these two terminologies, the what do you call the definition, you can understand it easily. So what is spoilage? Occurs when the capacity reserved for higher price buyers is wasted because demand from the higher price segment does not materialize. In the sense I told you, like spoilage in the sense, if you like take milk, if you are not boiling it, okay, or not heating it for a day or two, you cannot use it on the third day. Okay, it is waste. It basically gets spoiled. That is what is spoilage here. That means you are in case of airline, so you are booking that particular seat for the end time customer or last minute customer. So it may so happen that the last minute customer may not come to you. So we are spoiling that particular thing now. So it cannot be used by anyone. So it is waste. So that is what is spoilage. Then spill. What is spill? So it is additional that is coming and I am throwing it off. Okay, spill occurs if higher price buyers have to be turned away because the capacity has already been committed to lower price buyers. Okay, you have waited for some time, or initially only you gave all the seats, so there are too many people who booked at the earlier stage only, and there are some people who are coming at the nth moment, but you are not having any seats to give it to them. So this is spill. We are spilling the extra thing that is there. Okay, so like for example, there is a glass and you are filling water in it. Okay, so at a particular level it fills till the top edge. Then if you add more, what happens? It spills out. That means there is something extra that you cannot put in that particular glass. So the same thing happens here. So there is something extra that is coming to me at the nth moment, and I am not having any space to be given to him or any seats to give. So this is what is spoilage and spill. Spoilage, we are basically wasting it in anticipation of a person at the end moment who comes and who is ready to pay me at a higher rate. And spillage is, so I have already given the seats to the people who have booked long back on a cheaper rate, and now there are people who are coming at the nth moment and I don't have space to give them. So this is spillage. I am losing those customers basically. Spoilage and spill. So two terminologies, remember. Then a current order from a lower price buyer should be compared with the expected revenue from waiting for a higher price buyer. So as I told, there's a trade-off. You need to make sure, like if I am losing that particular seat at the end, and if I am giving a seat at the earlier stage to person who is paying me less, so where will I have a lot of what do you call the losses. Okay, we need to compare where I'm getting less revenue, where I'm getting more revenue. Okay, if the revenue is more, if they say, okay, if I wait and if it is like not been taken also, so I can wait for a longer period of time. If he says like if it is if it is spoiled, okay, if the particular opportunity is spoiled, that means I'm incurring a lot of losses more than if I give it to the person at a a cheaper price. That means I need to give it to the person at a cheaper price. So that is what they are telling you. Compare both, in which you are getting more revenue, you do that. Okay. So if it is like spoiled, what happens? So how much of losses you are bearing? So if it is like spilt off, so what will happen? How much of losses are you bearing? So based on this, so you need to have comparison. Then we need to decide. So which to how much, how many seats to keep for whom. Okay. Then the order from the lower price buyer should be accepted if the expected revenue from the higher price buyer is lower than the current revenue from the lower price buyer. That is what I explained you now. Like we need to have a comparison where I am getting more revenue and where I am getting more losses. So we need to avoid more losses and we need to at least take something is coming, right? So instead of going for a loss of 8,000 or 10,000, so it is better to have 2,000 more, right? So basically, the things are used same. That is, the flight is same, the attendants are same, the pilot is same, the food that is served is same. Only thing is the quantity increases. But similarly with that, we are increasing the profits also. So that is what is the trade-off we need to look at. Then another approach to differential pricing is to create different versions of a product targeted at different segments. So this is something which we basically come across in our life. Okay, so what they do is one more approach is differential pricing to be created for different versions. They call it versions now. Okay, where example if you see publishers introduce new books from best-selling authors, okay, as hardcover editions and charge a higher price. And the same books are introduced later as paperback editions at a lower price. So like if you I don't know whether you were in the era of the Harry Potter or not. Okay, I don't know how many of you were very much inclined with Harry Potter. Just as an example, there are so many other novels like that. But worldwide, if you see, sensation was Harry Potter. So if the new book was coming, the people used to stand like if the date and the time there was there no the time and the date where it was about to be sold, okay, where it was launching, people used to stand in queue, okay, in kilometers together in front of the store to buy it. Okay, something like again on new launch of iPhones, there is a big queue of people, and it is a pride to have the first uh, iPhone sold. Okay, similarly, the first copy of the book sold. So initially, the prices will be very high because they will be giving you something more. Like in this case, it is the book hardbound. Okay, we call it as hardbound or hardcover, and they charge you more. It could be some 30%, 50%, or it could be almost double at times. Okay, because it is the first copies what they are selling. So the people who are really want to read it, okay, they are ready to pay more. So they'll encash this by giving them hardcover editions where they are charging more. Okay, and at the later stage they'll come up with paperback. Okay, and everything will be the same, right? The story will be the same. The quality of the paper may change. Okay, but most of the things what you want, you are looking for the cover or looking for the quality of the paper, or you are basically looking for the content. You want to read the book, right? So that is what we are looking at. So there are people who say, okay, wait for some time, let the price come, then we can buy. Okay, so here for different segments here, two segments are there. One segment is like I want to read it as soon as it comes out, and there is the other segment I'm ready to wait, okay, till the price comes down or till they publish a paperback edition. Okay, these are the two segments. So one segment is ready to pay more, where I am giving them paperback and a high quality one, and the other segment like paperback and where there are chances the quality of the paper may come down or even increase. We never know. So this will happen. So for the same thing, right? The same words are there, the same story is there, everything is same, but the product is different. I mean, the prices are different. So similarly, different versions can also be created by bundling different options and services with the same basic product. So here in cars, so automobile manufacturers create a high-end, mid-level, and a low-end version. So basically, the car is the same, right? So it has the basic structure same, Okay, like four wheels only, the same distance, the length, the width and all is the same. Okay, but only the features are different. So base thing is the same, but they are creating new versions, or they are putting it as high end, mid end and low end for some options what they are providing extra. Okay, so most of us will be having cars or other automobiles where these particular things are there, high end, mid end, and low end. Okay, where few things are changing inside, like the cover, quality of the cover, some leather cover will be put. Okay, some back camera is there. Okay, at the end there might be one more wiper. Okay, seat adjustment or the uh, steering wheel adjustment. So these some additional things are put, okay, and the prices are varied. But if you see at the base, it is the same car, okay. So whichever model you take, so it could be like Tata Nexon or Hyundai Creta or Maruti Brezza or whatever. So the base model is the same. It is car. It is having four wheels. The size and the shape is the same, but the color might be different. Okay, the interior could be different. Few more additional things which would be given, like the rear camera or the alloy wheels. Okay, some upholstery like the seat cover and all could be different. It could be matching colors and all. So for these particular changes, you need to pay extra. So that is what is the high end and mid end. So if you go with the lower end, you are getting the same thing. So you can drive with the same thing, but only thing is the interior is different and few services are different in those particular models. So these are the ways where people are making changes in some things and gaining more amount. So here in this case, in case of books, it is the hardbound cover and the paperback cover. Here it is like the high end, mid end, and the lower end models. So to use revenue management successfully when serving multiple customer segments, a firm must use the following tactics effectively. So what are the tactics? Price based on the value assigned by each segment. Okay, so I need to price properly, like what thing I am giving for what segment and at what price. Okay, and the next is use different prices for each segment. So each segment I am changing the prices and basically telling them at this thing, like lower end this is the price, mid end this is the price, higher end this is the price. Okay, and these are way different. Like the what do you call, the difference is more. Okay, otherwise people say like if it is 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 only the difference, they'll say yes I'll go for the next version only. So there is a difference of lakhs together. Okay, in each segment. Then the last one, forecast at the segment level. So we need to forecast. We just cannot, out of hunch, we cannot make like around 200 products of lower end, 150 products of mid end, and 100 of higher end. We don't know. Like there might be people, more people buying the higher segment. Okay, but your production is low segment only. So you may not be able to modify it. Okay, at times you can modify, and most of the times it will be fixed whatever is being made. So modification cannot be done. So based on the forecast of segment, so how many people are there based on your earlier experience with the region. Okay, how many people are only buying the higher models? How many people are looking for mid level? How many people are looking for the lower level? So again, forecasting is very much important, and it has to be done for each segment level. So next, first thing we have finished, that is the prices, revenue management at different segments. Now here pricing and revenue management for perishable assets. Perishable things we have seen where a duration is there after which it cannot be used. Okay, so the duration for perishable instance, the duration would be short in in general case. So, but in uh, normally, if you see, there is a life for each and everything. But perishable, when we call when that particular life is at a shorter level. Okay, like for example, car you can use it for 5 years, 10 years also. Okay, but a particular drug if you buy, drug in the sense a particular medicine, so it will be having 1 or 2 years at the max. Okay, or like milk, it could be in days, or there are some products which could be in hours also. Okay, like a particular food is prepared, So the life of that particular food would be maximum of 10 hours or 15 hours. After that, if you are not preserving it properly, it gets spoiled. Okay. Then if you see what are these, any asset that loses value over time is perishable. So we already know we are losing value after a certain period of time. So example, fruits, vegetables and pharmaceuticals are perishable. I give you all the example of this. Then this list also includes products such as computers and cell phones. You can say, sir, how are you telling, sir, if I buy a particular cell phone or a particular mobile or a particular laptop, I can use it for years together. Yes, you can use it. So you can see the next thing. When are we using it? So this list also includes products such as computers and cell phones that lose value as new models are introduced. If new models are coming, so you can see that you might be having a particular model of cell phone of a particular company. So there are new models that are coming like almost in a span of 6 months. Okay, or a particular model is introduced, a particular variation of that model is being coming in like in months time, or in every month there is a new model, we can say, or new variation of that particular model is coming. Like for example, if you see OnePlus, okay, so any model you take OnePlus, if you take, okay, OnePlus, take now presently it is OnePlus 8 that is going on. So if you see OnePlus 8, okay, OnePlus 8 Pro, OnePlus 8 Max, so may not be exactly, so just give you example. Then what do you call, OnePlus McLaren model or something like that. Okay, McLaren is there actually. McLaren model is there for OnePlus. Then if you see OnePlus Delta or something is there again. So these are the different products, small variations they'll do, and they'll put it into the market. So the value for the earlier model goes down. Okay, so if you imagine OnePlus 8 is going on now. So if you see OnePlus 7, the prices earlier when it was launched, it has come down now. So if you see OnePlus 6, it has come down further. OnePlus 5, it has gone down drastically. So if you go back again, so the models may not be available to you also, because the technology has gone so far. So if you go to OnePlus 1 or OnePlus 2, it is rarely that you can find it in the market now, because it was, I think, 3G or 2G at that time. So 3G, like after OnePlus 3 or OnePlus 5, you might have got 3G. Then after that, we have got 4G now. So in few months to come, we will be getting 5G also. Then again, the earlier ones like 3G would be obsolete. Okay, then it is the era of 4G and 5G once 5G is introduced. So similarly, we need to change our mobile phones also. Like if you want to have a 5G connectivity, we need to have a model which supports 5G, right? So similarly, it goes on. The technology is changing on a regular basis. Like TVs, if you see earlier, it was a dome TV with CRT tube. Now it is next came the LCD TV. Then came the LED TV. Then came half HD, full HD. Then 4K. Okay. Then curved model of TVs and all. So these are, as the technology goes on increasing or improving, the earlier model goes on what you call obsolete. They become obsolete. So this is what in terms of technology we are seeing. So here phones, tablets, then laptops and all. Again, new models are coming. We are losing the what do you call, the prices or the demand, okay, or the value of those particular older versions. Then high fashion apparel. Okay, again, fashion is for a shorter duration. It could be in terms of weeks or also in terms of months. I gave example of Flipkart and Myntra. If you see latest trendy models on a daily basis, they are saying that the trends are changing daily or on a weekly basis. So if you see on a daily basis, there are new things that are added, okay, and there are something which are removed from that particular site. So the old ones are removed and the new ones are added. So that is what happens here. So high fashion apparel is perishable because it cannot be sold at full price when the season is past. Okay, they'll say, okay, this was season earlier, that was season earlier, the shirt used to be like this, the shirt used to be like that. Like in terms of male, like I can say, pants and all, if you see, so low waist pant was there, then high waist pant was there, bell bottom was there, okay, then pencil cut was there. So these are the trends which are going on. So if you wear a bell bottom now, how you will look. Okay, because the trend has completely changed. Earlier, even in movies and all, they used to wear bell bottom. Now, if you see, the trend is wearing those I don't know what they are called, like tone jeans. Okay, then tone shirts. So these are fashion now. Earlier, if you see a tone jeans, we would feel that okay, he's not having any money to buy new ones. Now you are paying more money to buy those tone jeans, right? I don't know the exact name what they call it, but I could say it as tone jeans. Okay, so where even the movie stars are wearing it. Earlier, the same movie stars used to wear those bell bottoms and all. Now, if you wear, how do you look? Okay, because it is off trend. You look completely different. Okay, कौन से जमाने में रह रहा है ये बंदा? So we call this, right? So it could be similar with tops and all for girls tops and other chudis. So new things are coming. Okay, like a cold shoulder and all we call. I don't know much about girl side or female side, so I could give more examples on the male side. So again, in terms of hairstyles, if you see, so many new hairstyles. So a new movie comes with a new hairstyle of a particular hero, you want to do it. Okay, or that particular thing becomes fashion. Okay, like there was a big sensation if you remember the Radhe hairstyle. So still many of the people do it, Radhe. So you know Salman Khan's hairstyle in that particular movie. Okay, so those things were like still many people do it. So this is like era where it goes on changing. Like there was mushroom cut earlier. If you see at the sides and the back, okay, the cut was very short, and in the middle or top, you would just leave the hairs just like that. And there was a trend to color the hairs. Okay, and there is a trend where you are having a ponytail. Okay, so these are different uh, versions of the same hair basically. The styles are different and these are varying in terms of style and in terms of fashion with respect to time. Okay, so these are things that vary. Then perishable assets also include all forms of production, transportation, and storage capacity that is wasted if not utilized fully. So we are talking about storage capacity. If you are not using on that particular day, you cannot go back to that day and you can use it. So it is gone. So in terms of transportation, so if you are taking a truck, you are filling it half. The other half is waste once you travel to the destination. So you can come back, but you cannot go to the same time back, and you cannot like again get back the half of the truck which you have already unloaded there. So you cannot bring it back and fill it. So if you go back again, if you fill it, well and good. Otherwise, that particular half space that you have left vacant in that particular journey is gone. You have wasted it. It has already perished. Okay. So in terms of storage again, so I told you space utility, or it could be in your mobile phone also. You are having storage rate in your phone. You are not utilizing it fully. If it becomes full, your phone may get hanged, or it may start behaving weirdly, or it may start lagging behind. Okay, so in each case it is different. Okay, so here we are talking about supply chain. So when a storage comes, it could be a warehouse storage. Usually it is warehouse storage or storing of a particular product. Okay, this is pricing and revenue management for perishable assets. Then example, Dell uses revenue management with selling PCs. How they do? The year is divided into short sales cycles of 2 weeks. So they break up the whole year into uh, small pieces of 2 weeks. Then what they do? The sales organization makes a forecast for the next sales cycle. Okay, in the sense now we are in this particular 2 weeks. They are predicting the next 2 weeks how it will be, what are the conditions, whether it's a season or no. So most people buy like at the end of a particular year or in between the year, I could say. So at the last semester, like for example, students they need to go for a particular project when they are into their final semesters. So they need a laptop. So basically, it is the mid of the year, like when they finish the first semester and they are entering into the next semester. Okay. So if you take your engineering, it is like 8 semesters, right? 8 semesters. Every second half of the year, people are moving from the odd semester to the even semester. So similarly, the last year students from seventh semester they are moving to the eighth semester. Okay, so when they are moving, just before moving or around when they are moving, the pieces or the laptop sales increases. Why? Because there is demand now, because the use of that particular laptop or PC is being done by the final year students. So every year this is the case. So every year in mid of the time is perfect now. Okay, so or just 2 to 3 months back if you go, so this was the time where people are buying more of laptops, or students are buying more of laptops. But in general, if you see the industry, they can buy it at any moment of time. Okay, or there is also a particular time when they are hiring more people. So when they are hiring, they need more laptops. So when they are buying, and if there are any issues, at that time replacements also happen. Okay, so it is at that period the sales are increasing for this particular deal. So what they are doing, they are breaking them into 2 week time schedules, and in this particular week I am planning for the next 2 weeks. So what would be the forecast, whether it increases or decreases based on the time of year. Then the sales organizers make the forecast for the next sales cycle. Operations ensure the availability of components and production capacity. If I am planning, like for example, 200 laptops will be sold in the next 2 weeks. So as a production department, I need to be ready with 200 pieces or 200 different parts, okay, of that particular laptop. So that is what the operation people do. They make sure that 200 pieces are ready. Then at the point, the investment in inventory and the capacity assets for the next sales cycle is fixed. Okay, next, when I say 200 pieces are required, so from whom what has to be brought and how much money has to be allocated has to be planned. Then sales then attempts to maximize the revenue that can be obtained from available assets by adjusting price and availability. So like most of the times you might have seen, like the product only one is available, sir, as of now. It could be any product. The shopkeeper tells you, sir, only one product is available. So if you want it now, this is the price, or else the next lot is coming. You need to wait for so many number of days. So if you are in really in need of that particular product, you are ready to pay more, like the airlines seat. Okay, for the product also it is same. Or if two people come and there is a particular war going on, like I'll pay more, you will pay more. You have already seen. Like basically this happens in times or at the times of auctions. Okay, there is a product with they say, okay, this is a product what we are selling. This is the value of it. I'll start the bidding from this particular price. So the people who are willing to buy it, they start bidding. So one person says the next amount, the other person says, and even the increasing capacity or the value. Okay, if they say like 200 rupees now, so how much to increase, whether by 5 rupees, 10 rupees, or 50 rupees? It depends on the value of the product and the type of people who are present over there. Many times it will be 5 rupees, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees. So if the person is really interested, he could make it double also directly. Like 100 rupees, if you say like 200 rupees, if you say, he may say directly 300 rupees or 500 rupees. We never know. It is depending upon the person who is bidding it. So similar things happen over here. Okay. So when the demand is more and the supply is less, the price of the product increases. And if the supply is more and the demand is less, the price decreases. Okay, so this is how Dell manages its PCs or the revenue in selling the PCs. Okay, then another example for revenue management for a perishable asset is the use of overbooking by the airline industry. So there is overbooking done. So why? An airplane seat loses all value once the plane takes off. You already know. So you cannot go back and the value could be given back. Okay, so as it when a particular aeroplane takes off, the value of that particular seat becomes almost zero because nobody will come and sit. So you already booked, you are there. So if any seat is empty, it is empty. You cannot fill it again. So people often do not show up for a plane even when they have a reservation. Many a times this happens due to various reasons. People cancel their flight. Okay, and there is a cancellation policy also, and even the date and time also is mentioned. Like before this only you can have your cancellation done. Otherwise, we will not be paying you back. Okay, or at a certain time, as it changes, the amount paid to you will vary, like in terms of percentages. Okay, so like if you cancel it like before 2 days or 3 days or a week, you will be getting full amount. So if you go on reducing the time, Okay, like for example, like it is just 2 days. So instead of giving full, I'll give you only 80%. If it is only one day, I'll give you 50%. If it is on the day, I'll give you only 20% back. So the same thing is used by many of the people also. Like in airlines, many people will not show up. What happens? Airlines sell more reservations than the capacity of the plane to maximize the expected revenue. So, for example, if the seating capacity is 100, they will book for 110, and they hope for not hope, they are ready for the people who are canceling the reservation by 10%. Okay, so if all the 110 come, then they should be ready to bear the losses. Okay, they need to be shifted to some different plane. Okay, or if it is like I told you, different sections are there. They need to be upgraded to a different section. So you might have heard, okay, upgradation of the seat is happening. You have booked a economy seat and you are given a particular what you call the next level seat. Business class could be given to you because overbooking was done and all the people have turned out. Okay, or instead of 100 there were 105 people, so the extra 5 people will be shifted to the what do you call the next compartment if and any seats are available over there. So business class, they are pushing those people. For 5 people they are pushing to the business class. Okay, this is how they manage. So now the two revenue management tactics used for perishable assets. So what are those two? Things are vary price dramatically. We are varying the prices. Okay, we are varying the prices in terms of managing these tactics used for perishable assets dramatically to maximize the expected revenue. We have already seen this, like far if you book, the prices are very less, and as and when it is the date of or the time of uh, flight comes very near, the prices go at a very high level. Okay, we are basically managing it like that. And the second one, overbooking the sales. We have seen that also, because in anticipation of few people may cancel their reservation, so they overbook, they book on a higher end. Okay, the same things will happen most of the times. Okay, then dynamic pricing, we are looking at the dynamic pricing now. So dynamic pricing, in the sense, pricing variations in the pricing happen. So dynamic pricing, the tactic of varying price over time, is suitable for assets such as fashion apparel that have a clear date beyond which they lose a lot of their value. Like I told you, in particular website like Myntra or Flipkart, they say, okay, fresh arrivals for this week. In the sense, this people more focus on that particular things, and the old ones, they need to reduce the price. They cannot keep the last week's price. Okay, so that is what they are telling here. Dynamic pricing. When we say the price is there, okay, present, the trend is going on, you need to pay more. When the trend slowly goes on reducing, the price also reduces. When the trend goes up, even if you give at a very very low price, very few people buy it. Okay, because they are moving towards the new trend now. So that is what is happening here. So dynamic pricing tactic for varying price over time is suitable for assets such as fashion apparel that have a clear date beyond which they lose a lot of their value. They'll lose, it may become half or even it may become 10%, but still people will not buy it. Like apparel designed for the winter does not have much value by summer. So winter it is completely different. But when summer comes, why the people will wear something that they have bought for winter? Okay, winter it could be thick clothes, furry clothes where they keep them warm. But in summer it's already hot. Why will people wear the apparels which are being bought for the use in winter, right? So it goes on. Then raincoats. So why this I'm telling you is, at the time of rains only the raincoats are used. Just after rainy season, when summer season or winter season comes, we are not using any raincoats. Okay. So there are two ways where we can sell this, like at a lower price just before the season starts. Okay, and when the season starts, I'm increasing the price. Okay, this happens usually at the off season. The seasonal products, the price goes down, and when the season comes, the price increases. So many times you will never think of a raincoat until you see the rain, right? So similarly, these things happen for the seasonal things. Okay, so raincoats I am giving because of dynamic price. Because when there is no season or just before the season, if somebody wants to buy, if they want to be ready for rainy season, yes, you can get raincoats, but at a cheaper rate because demand is less at that particular time. But if that shopkeeper may think that yes, in next 1 or 2 months there is rainy season, I will not sell now at cheaper price. I'll tell him the price. If it is okay, he'll buy it. Otherwise, I'll just keep it just like that. So after 2 months, I'll sell it at a higher price, or the same price which I am quoting now. Okay, and not the lesser price. Even this could be one of the tactics. Or the other tactics would be I will sell more now because the prices are less. People may come and buy now. Okay, so this may also happen. So it is depending upon the thinking of the seller whether I can buy, whether I can sell it just before the rainy season at a lower price, or I can sell at the later at the higher price, or I can do both. Okay, now you can say like earlier there was no rainy season, you could have sold it at 1000 rupees. Now it has become 1200 rupees. The same person says that demand बढ़ गया है सर, प्रोडक्ट का प्राइस भी बढ़ गया है, so if you want now it is 200, 1200 now. 200 you need to pay extra than what you have paid earlier. Okay, this happens. Then a simple methodology for dynamic pricing in the context where the seller has specific quantity. Here he has bought a specific quantity, right? Q of a single product at the start of the season. So season is about to start. I have already bought. If somebody comes and asks me that particular product now, I have to sell it at lower price. Or if he is in very much need, then he will say that okay, he will buy it at whatever price you say. Otherwise, he'll say, okay, ठीक है, रख लो, I'll come later. Or he goes to some other person to buy it. But at the time of rainy season, both the shopkeeper knows and both the consumer knows wherever I'll go, the demand is high because the rains are coming and I'll be getting similar prices. So where you go, you see the quality, you see the brand, and you buy it, even if it is at a higher price. Even if you know it is like he's increasing by 100 rupees or 200 rupees, there is no chance for you to get it at lesser price. So what you do, you buy it. So that is what we are saying. For a quantity Q at the beginning of the season, if I am buying, okay, as a shopkeeper I'm buying in bulk, so I have the option now to sell some things, okay, or some products at a small profit initially. Then when the season comes, I can sell it at a higher cost, okay, because the demand is high. Then comes overbooking. Where we are talking about overbooking, the tactic of overbooking or overselling of the available asset is suitable in any situation in which customers are able to cancel orders and the value of the asset drops significantly after a deadline. So in railways, they are telling you we are already overbooking. Waiting list. What is that waiting list? Okay. So what is that waiting list? They say you are in waiting list. There are so many people who have already booked, and you are in the waiting list. You need to pay. Okay. So waiting list, if they say, so if somebody cancels, you will be getting the seat again based on what is your number in the waiting list. If it is 1, 2 also, you might get the seat. If it is at the later end, and even for waiting list, there is an end. Okay, so after certain numbers, they'll say even the waiting list is full. Now no further bookings can be done. So in some trains you could have seen this also. So they have even stopped booking only. Okay, leave alone the waiting list. They have stopped overall booking for that particular train for that particular day. Okay, so this could happen. Then the basic trade-off to consider during overbooking is between having wasted capacity or inventory because of excessive cancellations, or having a shortage of capacity because of few cancellations, in which case an expensive backup needs to be arranged. Like you say that I will not overbook, okay, and if some cancellations happen, you are ready to take the losses. Or second one is I am overbooking to a certain level. Then if more people come, okay, if the cancellations are less, I need to be ready to be having an expensive backup alternative. Okay, like in case of trains, if you see, if you book for a sleeper, okay, you book for a sleeper and if it is way higher, so if there are seats available in AC three tire or two tire, you will be upgraded to that particular thing. Okay, they don't want you to like cancel your ticket. Okay, because there are less number of people who have booked in AC. okay, the 3 tier or 2 tier, you will be shifted over there. Okay, this is what is even in airlines it happens. Okay, they'll increase the capacity in the sense, increase the capacity in the sense they are giving you in the next level. Okay, they are giving you a seat in the next level. They are upgrading your seat basically. So this you should be ready to upgrade even if the person is paying you less, and the charges which a person has to be there in AC is way higher than what he has paid for second class, right? But why to waste it? So I'll send a person over there because he has already paid and he is waiting in line to get his particular seat. So this could be done. So overbooking as a tactic has been used in airline, passenger rail, and hotel industries. Even in hotel, this happens. They are having different grades of rooms. Okay, like a AC room, non-AC room, single bed, double bed, or triple bed. Okay, or some suites or something they call. So these are different levels. So in each level, if somebody like takes a overbooking, okay, if something is overbooked, then if all the people turn up, the extra people has to be upgraded. Okay, whenever they are coming, they need to be upgraded to the next level, and at the lower price, they need to give those particular rooms to them. So, like for example, non-AC rooms were booked earlier, and it was overbooked. Okay, when people come, all the people come, you need to make sure that the extra people are given the AC rooms. You cannot do anything. Otherwise, you will lose your reputation because the booking was already taken and you were not giving the rooms to them. So this happens. So you should be ready to have an expensive backup if required. Then pricing and revenue management for seasonal demand. So we are almost end of module 4 here. Okay, seasonal demand is there. Then bulk buying and spot buying. So if we finish this, we are completing module 4. Okay, so pricing and revenue management for seasonal demand. What is this? Seasonal peaks of demand are a common occurrence in many supply chains. You know, seasons at a particular season it goes high. So most retailers in United States achieve a significant fraction of the annual sales during the month of December because of Christmas. So here also we can have some tactics used and we can make the arrangements. How we'll see. Example is Amazon.com. You know, people are buying online. So as a result of seasonal peak, there is a significant increase in the requirement for picking and packing, okay, as well as transportation capacity. So huge orders come at the time of Christmas, in the sense in December basically. So what they'll do, there are two things what can be done. Okay, so faced with seasonal peaks, an effective revenue management tactic is to be charge a higher price during the peak period. Like in December, you need to make sure that there are less orders. To do that, the people who really need it, if I even offer more, okay, the people will buy it. Like for example, best I can tell you is the seats, the private buses. If you see, if you are moving from one place to another, like Bangalore to Belgaum or Belgaum to Pune or Mumbai, if there is a peak season, like it's a holiday season or holiday are just about to complete, so they increase the price like anything. So recently I came to know just before the lockdown starts. So in general, from Bangalore to Belgaum, it is with AC sleeper. You will get it around at 700 750 rupees in general, and it may go up to 1200 max. But here at the time of lockdown, when they announced people wanted to go back to their home, so they had made that around 700 to 1200 seat ka rate. What they made it was around 5,000 6,000 rupees. So those who were in real need of it, they paid 6,000 rupees and they made that particular journey. So this is what is peak thing. So whenever peak comes, to stop more booking or to gain, it's not like to gain more amount. If you book, you are getting more, not an issue. But to manage that particular demand, the prices will be high. They'll increase the price. Okay. So what we are doing here, tactic is to charge higher price during the peak period and a lower price during off peak periods. So if you see off season, the same 700 rupees to 1200 rupees ka seat, you will get it at 550 or 600, or even lesser, or even at 500 rupees. So it is both. You are getting at 500 rupees also, you are getting at 5,000 rupees also. Just imagine how the difference is. So how people play tactics. Okay, the hotel industry uses differential pricing by day of the week and the time of the year. So it is like at the end, the weekend people usually take vacations. So the prices will vary at the time of vacation. Okay, that is Saturdays and Sundays, or in terms of some festivals or at the time of holiday season, the price will increase. So as they tell you here, in terms of days also they change. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, the prices might be different. Then even in Thursday it might be different. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday it could be increased. Okay, similarly, if you see in terms of cinema tickets, so weekends the price go very high. Okay, and on first shows and all the prices will be less. From afternoon to the night shows, the prices will increase like anything. So similar things you might have seen. Like if you go on weekdays, if you are having time and go on weekdays, the prices will be less. They want to attract people instead of just showing uh, a particular movie to only 10% of the audience. They'll try to make it at least 50% by reducing the price. And at the end of the week, they know anyway people are coming, so the demand would be high. They increase the prices. Even if you want to watch, you have to pay more. If you say I don't want to watch, they'll say okay, there is some other person who will be watching it. They'll not worry. If there are some vacant seats also, they'll not worry because the prices are already high and you are gaining more profit. So he is ready to lose some two, three people who are not watching. He can leave those particular seats empty. Okay, but he's charging more. So that is what happens even in hotel industry and in terms of movies also. When you are going for a multiplex or a single screen, whatever, wherever you are going, the prices are varying there. Then off-peak discounting. So we were talking about off-peak discounting can be effective revenue management tactic for owners of production or transportation capacity in any supply chain facing seasonal peak demand, because changing capacity over time is expensive. You will not be needing that, like it could be expensive, like for some time only to hire and to leave off, people will not come for that particular time. If you say that I'm paying double, then they might come for 1 month or 2 months. So what they do, they give offers just before this, like Amazon. We have seen the example, right? So just before Christmas, somewhere around in November, they say free shipping. Okay, discounts will be higher. They do because people who want to buy something in Christmas, they could buy now only and keep it for Christmas. Okay, because they are getting at a cheaper price, free home delivery. Okay, at even some Prime, like in terms of Amazon Prime services, next day delivery or on the same day delivery could be given for free of cost for non-Prime members also to like adjust that particular peak demand. But still there are many people who say yes, I want a delivery on this day only, I am ready to pay more. So at this particular time they charge more, and in terms of November and all, they basically charge less to manage that particular peak demand. So we all know that okay, at times of festival, Diwali and all, there is like peak and all. So just before Diwali also you might see some discounts would be given to you so that you can purchase now and you can use it for Diwali, or you can start using it now, or you can purchase again for Diwali. So it is good for the company only if you are buying more. So this is how companies try to manage their peak load. Okay, giving discounts just before the peak load and at the peak load to give you uh, a higher price. Okay, or at a premium price. Okay, this is how people basically manage. Then comes pricing and revenue management for bulk and spot contracts. What are bulk and spot contracts? We have already seen a big example in two classes. We have covered that. Like three options were given the warehouse one. So here again, if you see example is warehousing. Okay, what is warehousing? Most firms face a market which some customers purchase in bulk. So again, we spoke about retailers and wholesalers. If you buy in bulk, the discount is more. Bulk at a discount, and others buy single units or small lots at a higher price. Example, warehousing. We have seen. I have put that particular example here. Warehousing we have seen. So if I am ready to buy in smaller quantity for smaller duration, I need to pay more. Okay, if I want the same thing in bulk, so the prices reduces, right? In most instances, owners of supply chain assets prefer to fulfill all demand and arises from bulk sales and try to serve small customers only if assets are left over. So you might have seen in some places they say wholesale and retail. Again, some places only wholesale, only retail. What is this? So only retail in the sense he will not give you in bulk. If you need, he will give, but the price will not change. Okay, because it is a retail shop. So if you go to a wholesale shop, only wholesale, what they tell you is you need to buy in bulk. Okay, otherwise we will not give. In some places it is wholesale and retail. They are ready to give you both in wholesale also, in retail also. If you buy in lesser quantity, he will put a different price. If you buy in bulk, he will put the same person will put a different price. And even you know because you are buying more, the discount is there. If you are buying less, the discount is less or there is no discount. So as a person who is selling, you need to decide whether to sell it for wholesale, for retail, or both. Okay, or to cater. Sometimes if the order is more for bulk, first I'll look at the bulk order. Then if something is left with me, then I'll go for paying like selling at a the market price or the retail price, what we call. So it is depends on you. So that is what we are looking at bulk and spot contracts. So nothing much to tell you. Wholesale and retail only things are there, and it depends on you that I told you like whether if you want to only cater the bulk customers, only the retail customers, or both bulk and spot price customers. It is based on you. Okay. So you in the sense the person who is selling. So he has to decide whether only has to cater for bulk or only the retail or spot price, what we call in retail, or both bulk and spot, which in general terms we call as wholesale and retail. So with this, we are basically ending our fourth module. Okay. So anyone, any doubts, you can ask me now. So I hope the time is almost up. So you can ask me in the next class, or you can text me in the group so that I can take those particular issues in the next class. So for today, we'll stop the class. Okay, then we'll meet in the next class. Okay, students, thank you. Take care.